Good afternoon, Oak Grove. Happy Thursday. Welcome to this week's installment of the Midweek Update series, where I just populate into your device in the middle of the week to say hello and to try to keep the church on our consciousness for the other 6.5 days of the week that we're not in worship on Sunday morning, because that is so important for us to do. So thanks for dropping what you're doing for a few minutes to join me on here today. I am dressed in long sleeves for the first time this season because it has been chilly the last couple days. It's funny that 70 degrees is certainly not chilly by any stretch of the imagination, but when your body is acclimated to 85 plus every day for months at a stretch, all of a sudden 70 feels chilly. It's been the case at night that we've had to turn the thermostat way down to make sure the furnace doesn't come on, because we don't want it coming on yet this year. So yeah, it's been a little nippy. And I had said that I was going to try to start filming these videos outside of the boring gray walls of my office a little more often. But today, it's a busy day at the church. There's a lot of stuff going on. Carla is over here on Thursday morning doing her usual work, so she's in and out of the sanctuary. And it would be a gorgeous day to make a video out in the field today, except the field is a busy place. There's a bunch of trucks out there right now where our property committee folks are busy working on replacing the shed that is out there. Not the groundskeeping shed, but the other shed, the rusted out shed that is over on the side of the property by the outdoor worship space. That shed has needed to be replaced for a long time, and your congregational council voted to replace it this last month, and we came across a pretty good deal on a shed kit, and it is underway right now. The new kit is not here yet, but the old shed is being dismantled as we speak. So the field is a noisy, busy place right now, so it would be a nice day to make a video out there. But we are thankful and grateful for the folks that are out there working right now to replace that eyesore of a shed so that we can have a newer and slightly larger one to be able to store our outdoor supplies. What else am I going to talk to you about today? I thought that I might just take a moment. I'm going to try to keep this video relatively shorter, but I say that all the time, and then I still manage to babble for 12 minutes. But I am a bit pressed for time today. I've got multiple appointments later, so I'm going to try to keep it a little relatively shorter. I just wanted to reflect a little bit with you all on Pastor Bill's music camp at St. Paul's Zealy last week. That was so much fun. To refresh your memory, we had announced it regularly in worship, but what we did was meet from 6 to 8 p.m. in the evenings last week, the week of the 18th. I think that was a Monday. Yeah, I think that was last Monday. At St. Paul's Lutheran Church up in Zealy, and it was a multi-parish effort between Oak Grove, St. Paul's, Zion Lutheran Church in Harmony, as well as St. Peter's Lutheran Church in Evans City. There were kids there represented from all of those congregations. And they came to St. Paul's every evening from 6 to 8 last week to rehearse and then perform an original musical that Pastor Bill and another individual whose name I do not know, he gave me her name. It was somebody that he's worked with at Lutherland before, and it's an old musical. They wrote it years ago. I wish I had the name. Bill, maybe you can drop the name in the comments. I know you watch these videos every week, but it was all original. It was not purchased from an outside, supplier or an outside source. And the camp was open to ages roughly 8 through 12, 8 through 13, something like that. And they learned and performed the entire musical in 1 week. Some of the little kids on the lowest end of the spectrum might have needed just a little bit of help in remembering their lines on Friday night. Some of the older ones did a great job and did not need any help at all. But I just want to share with you that it was an incredibly fun, cool experience. I was not able to be there with them every day because we had council Monday night, and then I had another engagement on Wednesday night. But I was there with them on Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Friday night, they performed the musical for their families, and we filled the social hall at St. Paul's. We ran out of programs. We had more people than we expected, and then we had a short reception afterward. It was just incredibly cool. It was incredibly cool to see the gospel being brought to them in music. And why am I sharing that with you today? I'm not really sharing it with you for any reason other than just to share something positive that is going on, that a lot of work was put into. Again, I wasn't there every day, but Pastor Bill was there, and Pastor Erin Evans, my friend from St. Paul's Zealy. She is the interim pastor at St. Paul's and at Zion Harmony. They are a 2-point parish, for those that are not aware. They were there every evening working with the girls. It was almost entirely female. There was one boy. There was one little boy. And he played Lazarus. In the theme of this musical, it was about Mary and Martha, and about Mary Magdalene, and about Lazarus. And so there was one little boy, and he played Lazarus, but otherwise it was an all-female ensemble. And they just did a fantastic job. And I was impressed because you all know, Oak Grove, I have a terrible memory. You have to remind me of things every 5 minutes. If I don't write them down, I will forget. Sometimes even when I do write them down, I find a way to forget. And the fact that these young ladies learned, I don't remember exactly how long. I think it was about 10 or 11 pages, the script. The fact that they learned this script from Monday through Thursday and were ready to perform it on Friday was just absolutely amazing. And I had so much fun Tuesday after practice that I just came up to Bill and gave him a half hug afterward and said, I see why you love doing this. It is just so positive, and it's just so upbeat and full of energy to bring the gospel to these young people in music, which is a form that they'll listen to and understand. I had a choir director in another parish one time say to me with a little bit of a smirk and the tongue in his cheek, he said to me, nobody goes home on Sunday morning humming the sermon. They go home humming the hymns. And actually, multiple church studies have shown that people generally tend to remember the lyrics of the hymns, even on maybe a subconscious level, more so than they'll ever remember the sermon. And so, do I have a point to this? I guess I don't really have a point other than to say, encounter God in whatever ways you need to do that. And I can say for me, music is absolutely one of the top 2 or 3 ways that I encounter God. Oftentimes on Sunday mornings when I'm leading worship at Oak Grove, it's hard for me to feel like I'm in church and that I'm just worshiping, because I'm at work and I'm focused on getting the details of the service right, and I'm focused on what's the next part of the liturgy, and make sure you're standing in the right place at the right time. If there's any special notes for today, make sure you remember everything. So often it's easy for me to feel like I'm at work and not at church. But then when we sing the hymns, that's usually when I think to myself, oh, now for me personally, I'm putting a little bit of church into this church. Music is one of the top 2 or 3 ways that I encounter God. And it was one of the ways that those young ladies last week encountered God. And so wherever you have to get close to God, whether that's in nature, whether it's in art, whether it's in music, whether it's in poetry, whatever it is you have to do, just find that way to have that connection with God. So this went so well that Bill and I would like to start making this a regular thing. Now, this is basically an extension of what he does at Lutherland every year. He does this at Lutherland every July. This is what the musical camp is that they put on there. But we would like to maybe make this a yearly tradition. Pastor Erin Evans may or may not still be at Zealy next year because she is an interim. But, maybe Oak Grove can take on leadership, or maybe St. Paul's next pastor will take it on. Who knows? But we need to keep young adult ministries like this going for the kiddos, because it is so important to help them connect to God however they need to. And it is important for you to connect to God however you need to. So I just wanted to share with you the joy of that event and how that went. And that's what I've got for you this week, Oak Grove. So I will see you in worship this Sunday morning. Take care, God bless, and have a wonderful rest of your week.